Hi, my name is Jessie Baker, and this is my IDS 402 research paper. My paper is on cell phone addiction. Technology can be our best friend, and technology can also be the biggest party pooper of our lives. It interrupts our own story, interrupts our ability to have a thought or a daydream, to imagine something wonderful. Because we're too busy bridging the walk from the cafeteria back to the office on the cell phone. This is a quote by Steven Spielberg. There is a debate whether cell phone overuse is an addiction or if it is a compulsion. While both of these might fit how individuals use their cell phones, there is, however, a key difference between the two. With an addiction, a person typically feels pleasure from the behavior, whereas with a compulsion or obsession, the person is trying to reduce their anxiety levels by doing or checking that things are in place. The first call made from a mobile phone happened April 3rd, 1973 by Martin Cooper on a Motorola Dynatec 800X prototype. This phone was also the first commercially released cell phone, but it was not released until 1983. This phone was large by today's standards, but it also carried a price tag of $3,995. Up until 1989, most cell phones were installed as car phones due to their size. It was in 1989 that the first truly portable cell phone came about, the Motorola Microtech 9800X. A year after this phone was released, about 12.4 million people own a cell phone worldwide. Not even 20 years later, this number rose to 4.6 billion in 2009. The first smartphone came about in 1994 when IBM released the Simon Personal Communicator. This phone would not be considered a smartphone by today's standards, but it is considered by many as the first smartphone ever invented. The Simon cell phone is also widely considered the first touchscreen phone. This cell phone had the capabilities of a PDA and offered utilities such as a calendar, world clock, and appointment scheduler. This cell phone came in at a price of $1,099. Between 1994 and February 1995, 50,000 units were sold in the United States before Simon was discontinued. Although Simon may have technically been the first commercially available smartphone, it was not marketed as such. The first phone to truly be marketed as a smartphone did not come about until 2000. This was the Ericsson R380. It carried a price tag of $700. And unlike other cell phones previously seen, the Ericsson R380 was about the size of a typical cell phone by today's standards. It came in at a weight of 164 grams, and the Ericsson R380 came with preloaded apps such as a calendar, a to-do list, a world clock, voice memos, and a contacts manager. This was extremely advanced for its time, but additional apps could not be installed on it. There is a debate as to who released the first camera phone. Some sources cite that Samsung's SH-V200 was the first cell phone with a built-in camera, which was released in South Korea in June of 2000. Others cite that Sharp's JSH-04 was the real first cell phone with a built-in camera, which was released in Japan in November of 2000. The main difference between these two phones is that the JSH-04 allowed the user to send the photos electronically, whereas the SCH-V200 did not. It was not until November 2002 that the United States decided to adopt the camera phone trend. The first camera phone released in the United States was the Sanyo SCP-5300, which cost $400. IBM Simon was technically the first commercially released touchscreen phone. However, in 2007, Apple released the first generation of iPhones. The iPhone is considered the world's first advanced touchscreen smartphone. The iPhone was the first cell phone to have an operating system and allow the user to run apps on his or her phone. The first iPhones came in 4 gigabytes and 8 gigabytes. In 2008, mobile phones began to undergo a transformation to take the place of a person's laptop while they were on the go. For example, the HTC G1 held a sliding QWERTY keyboard beneath its large screen. The popularity of owning a cell phone has steadily been on a rise. As mentioned earlier, in 1989, 12.4 million people worldwide owned a cell phone. In 2009, 4.6 billion people owned a cell phone. In January 2014, it is reported that 90% of Americans 18 and older owned a cell phone. Of this 90%, 58% owned a smartphone and 42% owned a tablet. 67% of the cell phone owners admitted to checking their phones throughout the day for text messages, alerts, and calls, even when their phone did not ring or vibrate. A survey conducted in 2013 found that 44% of cell phone owners reported that they have slept with their phone next to their bed to ensure they did not miss any calls, text messages, or notifications throughout the night. In the same study, 29% of these cell phone owners claimed that their cell phone was something that they could not live without. When an individual thinks of the word addiction, they typically think of an uncontrolled abuse of a chemical or substance. The term addiction has been used for a wide range of excessive behaviors such as exercising, gambling, eating disorders, video gaming, and internet usage. These activities would be considered a behavioral addiction instead of a chemical or substance addiction. Although the type of addiction is different, there are a few sources who claim that these behavioral addictions share similar core indicators to chemical or substance addiction. There are several theories on addiction. A few of these theories claim that some individuals suffer from a genetic predisposition to become addicted to a certain substance or behavior. Others cite that an individual's peer groups, peer clusters, or personality traits can be the root cause for addiction. Pillay states that there are 4 motives for addictive behavior: escape, compensation, ritual, and instrumental. Escape can range from trying to find relief from pain, anxiety, and/or negative emotional states. Compensation. These individuals want to have an enhanced control over something in their life. They want to feel some sort of power, whether it be in their life or just the sense of power in itself. They may also feel that the object or idea that they are addicted to increases their self-esteem. Ritual. These individuals are searching for a way to simplify things and make life seem easier and more manageable. Instrumental. These individuals are searching for a mood enhancer or modifier. Technology addiction is a relatively new type of addiction. It is more common among teens and adolescents, and it occurs when an individual has a compulsive need to use the internet, social media, smartphones, or video games. The internet grew in popularity during the 1990s. This was the time of AOL and CompuServe. With the growing popularity of the internet, social media sites came into existence in 1996. Soon afterwards, smartphones came about and introduced society into a whole new world of communicating and sharing information with others. Over the last 3 decades, the internet has revolutionized how society lives their everyday lives. It has changed how individuals communicate with one another, along with how one spends their free time. Over these last 3 decades, researchers have struggled with explaining the potential positive and negative effects that rampant internet use can have on society. Some have suggested that the internet can enhance one's physical well being, enhance the user's amount of information available to them, thus enhancing their overall life, and widen the user's social circles. Other researchers have argued the negative effects the internet can have in one's life. Some have suggested that the internet can cause an individual to spend less time with their friends and family, which can lead to loneliness and self isolation. According to Salehan, increased internet use can become problematic for the individual and the organization in which they work for. With the development of the internet, soon came into existence social media sites. Social media sites are computer mediated sites that allow individuals to create, share, or exchange ideas, information, and pictures or videos in a virtual community or network. Social media has become an integral part of modern day society. The first widely recognized social media site, 6 Degrees, came about in 1997. 6 Degrees allowed the user to upload a profile and interact with other users. In 1999, the first blogging sites appeared. These blogging sites are what led to the social media sensation that society experiences today. In the early 2000s, social media became extremely popular with sites like MySpace and LinkedIn. In 2005, YouTube came about and brought with it a whole new way for individuals to communicate and share information with one another. In 2006, Facebook and Twitter appeared. The use of social media networks such as Facebook and Twitter have become an essential part of many individuals' everyday lives. In 2010, 48% of Americans had a social media account. This number grew to 56% in 2012, and in 2013, 189 million Facebook users only accessed their social media accounts through their mobile device. And social media addiction is a fairly new addiction when one thinks about it. According to Caitlin Dewey, one of the reasons that social media is so addictive is because almost every social media outlet that individuals interact with on a daily basis puts a bold-faced number front and center that essentially keeps up with an individual's social worth. This number signifies the amount of friends that the said individual has. This number has become the primary measure of whether one's friendships or lives are valuable or fulfilling. Dewey cites that an individual by the name of Grosser developed a plugin that took all of the numbers off of Facebook. The users of this plugin stated that they felt less pressure to compete for likes, like posts, and delete unlike posts. According to the users, this plugin essentially took all of the anxiety out of social media. With the introduction of the internet and social media, smartphones came about. Smartphones are phones that allow you to access the internet through your cellular device. This has led to what some may call cell phone addiction. Cell phone addiction become problematic or even illegal in certain circumstances, such as using a mobile phone in a socially inappropriate area, like during a movie or while at dinner with friends, and are using a mobile phone under hazardous situations, such as while driving or operating machinery. There are several studies on the health effects that you can experience from cell phone overuse. I've listed a couple here. The first one is Sahin in 2013. They found that students' sleep quality decreased if they used their cell phones for 5 or more hours a day. And then Lee and colleagues in 2014 found that compulsive use of smartphones correlates with psychological traits such as locus control and social interaction anxiety. And then the third one that I found was Lepp and colleagues in 2014. They found that students who use their cell phones more frequently than their peers tend to have a lower GPA, higher anxiety levels, and a lower satisfaction with their life than their peers who use their cell phones less frequently. And the last one that I'm going to mention is Barani and colleagues in 2009. They found that college students who used their cell phones more often showed a decreased self-esteem, increased loneliness, increased depression, higher anxiety levels, and they also showed an increase in sleep disturbances. Now, with anything, if there's a negative aspect, there's normally going to be a positive aspect also. Here's a few listed here. Chalise in 2010 stated that teenagers who use their cell phones have a higher sense of personal autonomy. And then the possession of a cell phone provides the teenager with an identity and prestige when compared with their peers. And the cell phone also provides the teenager with a source of fun and entertainment, while at the same time it helps them to establish and maintain personal relationships. My research questions that I would like to find the answers to are Americans addicted or obsessed with their cell phones? If it is determined that individuals can become addicted to their cell phones, then is it mainly the millennial generation or is it a common occurrence across all generations? Who uses their cell phone or social media more often, males or females? If these individuals are addicted to their cell phones, what would happen if they were to go a week or longer without their cell phones? Will these individuals suffer from withdrawal symptoms similar to other addictions, or will they vary? Has society grown accustomed to having their cell phones beside them at all times? Have our cell phones become more of a safety blanket, or have they truly become a necessity? And if one is a college student, can excessive cell phone usage affect an individual's GPA? My methods, I placed a survey online and I emailed it to a bunch of individuals and I handed out paper copies to friends and family. And then I also did a phenomenological based research approach where me and another individual went a week without our cell phones. And here are some of the results. 30% of the participants spent 5 or more hours on their cell phone in a given day. And according to previous research, this would constitute excessive cell phone use. And according to other research, excessive cell phone use can be classified as an addiction. And 30% of the participants spent 5 or more hours on social media in a given day. And then with using Young's 8-item questionnaire, 5 individuals out of the 70 surveyed will be classified as addicted to their cell phones. And it can't be determined whether it was one generation over another that was more addicted to their cell phones due to there was an individual in each generation that qualified under Young's 8-item questionnaire. In order to determine that, I think there would need to be a bigger sample size. And that also goes with the next one because the survey pointed towards females using their cell phones and social media more often than males, but that could possibly be skewed due to it was mostly females that answered the survey. And no withdrawal symptoms were present in the 2 individuals who went a week without their cell phones. And there was not enough individuals to report their GPA to come to a conclusion of whether or not increased cell phone usage can impact an individual's GPA. The individuals who actually responded had a high GPA, but I do not think that can correlate increased cell phone usage with a higher GPA.